I'm going to ask Mr. Councilor Crittenden, would you say the indicates for us?
Yes, I will. Stand. Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this day of life. Thank you, Father, for the many blessings you give us from day to day. Thank you for the country we live in. Thank you, Father, for the tribe that we represent and the people we represent. Help us today to make good decisions. Help us to do what we can for those that we represent. Bless those that are in our audience. Give us traveling grace back home this evening. And Father, I pray for those that are in harm's way this day, that you would protect them and watch over them and keep them safe. For those that are sick and afflicted, I pray for them, Father. I pray that you'd touch them and give them comfort as only you can. Go with us now and help us. Forgive us where we fail. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you. Kelly, would you do the roll, please?
Arlie Bezzard.
Here.
Chris Soaps.
Here.
Bill England.
Here.
Bill John Baker.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Julia Coates. Here. Bradley Cobb.
Honey.
Joe Crittenden.
Here.
Jody Fishinghawk. Here. Meredith Fraley. Here. Janelle Fulbright. Here. John Garvin. Tyler Boyd Jordan.
Present.
Curtis Snell.
Here.
David Thornton.
Here.
Harry Callan Watts. Do you have a quorum?
Thanks, Kelly. Moving on to the agenda, approval of minutes for January the 12th, 2010. Do I hear a motion for the approval?
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Approval of minutes have been made. Reports, I know we're running a little short of time, so I still want to ask Norma and the group leaders to come up and give some overviews or some announcements you'd like to make about your programs, Norma. We have a nice report from you, so tell us what you'd like to hear that's not in the report.
I'll just ask if you have any questions about this report.
Okay. Okay.
It's not about the report, but are we still got the emergency and that stuff suspended?
Are you talking about crisis?
Yeah,
crisis. Yes, but we're getting ready to start it back this week or next.
This week and next.
Now,
Okay.
that was suspended, just so you'll know. Do you understand what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
I understand, but I didn't know if they knew that,
Okay.
that it was
Okay,
suspended.
we sent out, we were fortunate enough to get enough funding from LIHEAP that we were able to send out a second payment. So those elderly and disabled that were eligible under LIHEAP will have received 2 checks in the same amount. One probably the end of December, the other one right about now. We had to write about 1,400 checks, do all that paperwork, so we suspended crisis for, pardon me, a couple of weeks in order to get that done. And now we're getting ready to gear back up and have crisis going.
Okay. Mr. Stokely.
Mr. Mayor, there was a reference in some of our executive finance documents that talked about food pantries and such. And there was a recommendation that you guys were looking into that, and we're going to make some recommendations overall, I guess, on how do we address those needs throughout the Cherokee Nation. Do you have any information today that you can share with us, or is that still?
Actually, what we're doing is it's been a little bit larger task than we thought to find all of them. We decided that we're probably going to primarily focus on the 501c3s. I talked to Dallas Pettigrew, who works with me this morning, and he had identified about 60 some and was finalizing that to give to administration.
Okay, so it's still in the works.
Right. It's just been a matter of gathering data first, and then we can kind of have a better idea of what we can do.
Yes, sir. Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. And to follow up on that, and your inquiry into how many we have may have uncovered this, but I know in my neck of the woods, the Native American Fellowship, which is a Cherokee organization, they actually operate a food pantry. I don't think they necessarily always hold themselves out as one of the area food pantries, but they do operate that. So it could be that our community organizations operate it, but they're kind of under the radar screen. So in particular, Native American Fellowship, you could add that.
Is that in?
In South Coffeyville.
Okay.
And
And I think that's going to be one of the issues, because I know that many churches, many other organizations have a closet that they'll call a food pantry. We're going to have to figure out some way to differentiate because we're probably talking about hundreds, which is going to be difficult.
I mean, certainly when we're talking about a church, maybe that they have a closet that they call a food pantry. I think in this case, though, we're talking about a Cherokee organization with a track record in CATA that I think certainly in my mind, when we appropriated the food pantry funds, that was kind of what we contemplated, is there may be organizations out there that are ready to go, they just need some more funding to do that. So I'd certainly hope that Cherokee organization status would be a big factor in determining whether they're a worthy recipient of food pantry funds.
And Dallas has been working, I believe he's contacted CATA. The Eastern Oklahoma Food Bank, who supplies to those recognized food banks, is another way that we're working. So I know he's been looking at a lot of different places. I have that written down to make sure that we see it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Fulbright, I believe you got a question.
Yes, thank you. I have a question. I have an organization, it's called the Outreach Center down at Salisaw, and it's a 501c3, and they're wanting to apply for funds, and it's really more of a shelter where we have families, people recommended by the drug court live there, and about the majority of them, I think it's a 12-bed facility, and most of the time it's about 80% Cherokee. They're not really a food pantry, but they serve 3 meals a day, so how do you get qualified to be included as a food pantry?
I believe I've had a contact by them, and I referred them to Ginger Brown. Melanie, is that where we're going? Those requests for funding? If it's for a regular donation. It's nothing that would be funded under what I have right now, but I believe Ginger's taking all of the requests for donations.
Thank you.
Councilor Sophia.
Just to follow, what was the name of that food, the big food distribution?
Eastern Oklahoma, that's probably not exactly right, but it's Eastern Oklahoma Food Bank, that's it. They're out of Tulsa, and they supply the food for the majority of 501c3 or organized food pantries. Anybody that wants to be a food pantry needs to contact them because they're an excellent source of food. And I will tell you, like everyone else, they're way overtaxed right now, and probably seen on the local channels that they are seeking donations, but they distribute a great deal of food.
Councilor Halsey.
We also, while I'm thinking about it, we appropriated some money for backpack nutrition programs. Was that something that your office is handling as far as identifying the programs?
Senior nutrition program?
I'm sorry, backpack nutrition program.
The backpack nutrition program.
Is that something?
We have not. Actually, that is something that the Eastern Oklahoma Food Bank also works with, is that backpack project. I have not been working with that.
And this maybe isn't a fair question for you since you have been working on it, but I'm just curious as to who in the administration is spearheading that. I mean, we set aside money for backpack nutrition programs in this year's budget, so I guess maybe...
I would guess it's education, but that is a guess on my part because it usually deals with school children, school-aged children, to make sure they have food over the weekend, those types of things.
Okay, well, I'll direct my question to them, though. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Councilor Freda.
Norma, just this comment, you called the family of Mapes County. I sent you an email to the Assistance for Female. She asked me to pass on to Jerry Snell her thanks. She said whether she qualifies or doesn't qualify. She appreciated his calling her and the emotional support he provided.
Great.
Yeah. And so pass it on.
I will do it. Thank you.
Yes, we have a question from Councilor Jordan.
Norma, the nutrition programs that we have funded in a separate fund for $2,000 apiece, have they all been identified and has that money started towards them?
$2,000 other than what, than our $300 and some thousand dollars that we usually have?
I believe that during the budget process, we separated off the nutrition programs and gave each one of them $2,000.
Was that for some, I'll tell you, it's not ringing with me right now, but I can sure find out.
Okay.
I
Because
wonder if
that
it was for, especially for some equipment.
No, it was just to be given, $2,000 was to be given to each nutrition site, just to help them with their organizational needs.
Okay, let me check on that,
And it
because
was
right now it's just...
It was a separate item in our budget, along with ball teams, premium shows, and then our donation money.
Buildings and nutrition sites.
Huh?
Community buildings and nutrition
Yes,
sites.
community buildings and nutrition sites, and I just wondered, have we got them all identified and?
Well,
when
well,
will
we certainly know our
distribute that
nutrition sites. I mean, we have the ones that we work with. And so let me go back and check that, and I can get something to you.
money? Maybe follow up with us on
Absolutely.
that? Thank you
Sure,
very
sure.
much.
I'll try to get that out to you today or tomorrow.
And I think that did include the community center, so,
Okay, if those were together.
Separate.
They were separate.
If it's a community building that was also a nutrition site, they got $4,000.
Okay.
Any more questions for Norma?
I just have a handout for you, just to let you know about the National Association of Food Distribution Programs. We'll be having their national meeting in Las Vegas, and we invite you to join some of our staff there if you're interested. This is just the one-page invitation. If you're interested, I've given Robbie the full packet on it, so she can give you more if you're interested in that.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Norma.
Thank you.
Next, community services, hang on just 1 second. Joe, you had a question.
Yeah, I had a
Norma?
question to Mel. Yeah, well, I don't know if it's to Melanie or Norma about this, like about the nutrition sites. When did you all, I mean, that was passed in budget hearings the 1st of September, and you all said that y'all was going to take care of this and get this done. But here it is February, and no nutrition sites are sending any money, and Norma don't even know what we're talking about, and that bothers me a lot.
Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Doug and I are just looking at the budget adjustments from the budget, from the comprehensive budget, and I think we're going to have to do some research because it's not apparent on that list which account unit it is. So we will do that and report back to this committee. But
Okay, we'll follow up on it. Councilor Hoskin, did you have a question?
Well, I was going to follow up on the same lines and wanted it to be referred to executive finance, but however we can get the information. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Community services, but Charlie Sullivan.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Charlie.
Thank you all got the report. Is there any questions?
Yes, what we'll do is just open up for questions. Charlie, I appreciate the report that you turned in. It's a pretty extensive report, and that's good information that I'd like to see. One thing that I would request, Charlie, is that you just mail out those funded groups for those community buildings, and just send them to Shelley or Gail over in the council house, and they'll send it out to the council members. The names of those groups.
Community buildings?
Yes.
Okay.
They said that funded 18 organizations from 8
Okay,
districts.
that's the community works. Okay, I can do that.
All right. Any questions for Charlie? Ms. Jordan?
Charlie, how much did we put in self-help for this year?
How much did we put in self-help? Self-help housing? You're talking about housing, right?
Yes.
Or the emergency?
Emergency self-help projects.
I think that was... We're right about 200,000. Right about 400,000. We're right at 200 now.
Okay. So we budgeted 400,000 this year, and we have about 200,000 that's not encumbered at this point. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Some of it probably is, but I don't know what it would be that's incumbent. Yeah. Probably less than that.
Anything else, Charlie?
Yeah, one of the things that Chad has been really been supportive is trying to get us to do more in the area of veterans. And this coming Thursday, we're going to be honoring all veterans. The employees especially have been doing a lot of homework, getting the veterans together, and then community service is going to be providing a meal this time every month. One department puts on a meal for the employees, and so this year we have included the veterans to come. So if any of you want to come and take part in this, we're going to line up the veterans on the other end of the building on the west side, and the staff is going to line up down the hallway and shake hands, or some of them may be their parents or grandpa coming through and tell them that they appreciate their service to their country. So if that's something that y'all want to take part in, I think we always tell people we're the second largest tribe in the United States, and most of the other tribes do big things to honor the veterans, and we certainly need to be doing more than what we're doing. So any of the veterans here, I know Joe, because of you, I went to the military. I don't think people know that, but his brother Larry talked me into going because Joe said, Joe's having a lot of good time. He said, me and you ought to go with him. And so because of him, he signed my name on a dotted line. But Joe, you're a veteran. They'd be more than welcome. Be glad to have you and some of the other veterans here. So anyway.
That's great.
Charlie, along that line, that was one of the best things that I took advantage of when I was a kid, going into service. So.
Absolutely. And I'm not being rude or disrespectful to this, but I think most of us, Jody, Joe, and the rest of us, when we was growing up, we didn't have people giving us money like you guys, I mean, not you guys, throwing it around. Yeah, we did it on our own. I mean, as far as a lot of stuff we did, we hauled wood, with team of wagon, horses, and everything we did was for ourselves. And that's one thing that's sort of hard for me sometimes when we get out here and we're promoting self-sufficiency, self-help, and then some of the other groups coming in and say, how come we have to do this when you do this for others? It sort of puts us in a bind. So, like I said, I just wanted to take that into consideration. But when we was growing up, we did a lot of that things on our own. So I think Joe and I dug septic tanks for his own house, put in ladder lines, and I don't know what all we did, but...
Charlie, so we can put it on your radar. What I was asking Melanie and them is the $2,000 that goes to each community building and community organization. We put that in budget hearings, and we're realizing now that none of it's getting handed out, and there hasn't been anything set up to get it done.
Are you talking about the community buildings?
Yeah, during budget hearings, instead of using all of it in community assistance, we are giving each community organization $2,000 a year to help with their bills. But we found out the nutrition sites hasn't gotten any of theirs, and they're having problems with the VOAG department and all of it. So would you put it on your radar so you can check it out? Because we'd like to get it handed out.
Okay.
And Charlie, one more. What time is the dinner for these?
We're going to line up at 10:30.
10:30.
Yeah. So because they're going to line up, and then the dinner's going to be about 11 to 1.
And I'm going to say that's certainly a good gesture. It seems like a lot of times they get left behind. So just to bring it to the forefront, we appreciate you doing it for us.
Okay.
Thank you, Charlie. Roads and Transportation with Michael Lynn. I see Barry, you're here to do the report.
Hello. Michael's out of the office today, so you have the report. Are there any questions?
Yes, Councilor Fishman.
Yeah, is Glover Terrell,
No.
how many contracts do they got on?
2 right now.
Just 2? Do you know if they're using
No,
Terrell?
3.
Do you know if they're using Terrell sub-vendors?
You'd have to check with the Terrell office on that. I'm not sure.
Okay, I will ask them to check because I'm pretty sure they're not. A lot of, I guess, non-natives is what I was talking. And how long from the time that you all award one to the start date?
Depends on the weather limitations and also the contractor's availability. So it's usually around, it can be as quick as a week or as much as 3 to 4 months.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Jordan, you got a question?
Do we have now in the contracts that we do with our contractors that they must follow the Terrell regulations and make themselves familiar with those?
Yes, and Terrell's involved in all of our pre-construction and our pre-bid meetings, and they're aware of that.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Barry?
Thank
and
you.
Barry is also here on the next one for public comments, and I think we all kind of know what that is, so thanks for the report, Barry.
Thanks.
Housing Services with David Sullivan.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
David is still out of pocket. He's hoping to be back next week. I think y'all have his report. I'll be more happy to answer any questions you have. I would like to make a note that the Housing Authority Board meeting is moved till next Tuesday, and it will be at 12 o'clock noon.
Okay. have a question for Councilor Foster.
I just wanted to note, I don't know if it's reached Mr. Sutherland yet, but the city of Nowata wants to donate some land for the purpose of housing, donate some land to Cherokee Nation, is my understanding. And I haven't visited with Mr. Sutherland about it, but I want to make sure it was on his radar screen, and to the extent that he's looked into it, if next meeting, if he could provide any kind of feedback to
You
the
bet.
committee.
I'll check in on it and we'll find out. And if he hadn't heard anything from him, we'll get a hold of him.
All right, thank you.
And also, before I forget, there's a couple of public disclosures that we need to make. I think there is 4. As you know, these are required under both federal law and tribal policy. Under housing rehab or home rehabilitation, Natalie Clark and Mamie Bowman. They are both cousins to Housing Services employee Cassandra Lynch. And under the emergency assistance and handicap accessibility, we have Little John Boland, who's a cousin also of Cassandra Lynch, and Dolores Patterson, who is a cousin to Jennifer Fowler. All those are Housing Services employees.
We have a question from Councilor Fisher.
Meadowbrook, all my people out there got tax bills when they shouldn't.
No.
And people started turning them in, and David was going to take care of them all. Can you have him email me, or you email me to make sure? Because there's several houses out there, and they never should have, our assessor sent them all bills.
I don't know why she would have sent them bills, because I know,
It's in
but
your county.
I know it. But all of those properties, if they're still under management, they're in our name.
Oh, they're still on bank, that addition, what, 2, 3?
Yeah, it's not very old, so they should. All the properties should still be in Housing Authority's name, and they shouldn't be taxed. So we'll take care of that. I'll look into that, and we'll get that taken care of. And she probably knew that we wouldn't. That we would argue with them and not pay them, and that's probably why she sent it to them.
Well, in your county, lost so many that way, and we're kind of notorious for it, evidently.
Yeah, I'll check on that.
Okay.
Because I've went round and round with them on a couple in the past, on some other things. So I'll check on it and make sure that we get that.
Well, I thought that was personal property, but these is $800 bills. They ain't personal.
No, that's probably ad valorem, but I'll look into it and see and make sure that they're still under management and all that, and I'll find out and let you know.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Snell?
Yes, in some of the housing additions, we had money appropriated to overlay the streets.
Yes.
How far along were we at that process?
We had originally appropriated, I want to say, and don't hold me to it, but I think it was $500,000 originally. We went out, done all of those that we thought we could do with that $500,000. We had some more money left. We're working on spending the rest of that $500,000 we have. And I just spoke to your county commissioner with the help of Barry Hood from Roads last week. I talked to the county commissioner, and I'm going to meet him one day this week, and he has agreed to take care of those roads, those streets up in Little Kansas. That was one that we've had some problems with, who's going to take care of it. City says they can't do it. County commissioner originally didn't want to do it, but I think we're getting close to having something worked out. We've identified, I think, about $200,000 that we still have available to do that. And we're going to get those taken care of, hopefully in the next 60 days. And then at least get the money obligated in the next 45 to 60 days. And then see where we're at, what else we got to do, and probably come back and ask for another appropriation to look at the other projects.
Okay, you got all the good streets?
Yeah, I think there was, I want to say about 3 streets.
I think so.
Yeah, and I have talked to the county commissioner, and he's agreed to help us out any way he can. And I'm going to meet with him one day this week. And we're
Yeah, I
going
think
to.
there was the other day, he said he's ready to go.
Yep, and that's where we're heading.
Good, thank you.
Councilor Thornton?
You may not know the answer to this question, but Charlie might. On the Redbird Housing Edition, do we still have, are there 15 homes there now? No more than 15? And all those are going to be panel homes?
Charlie, can you
And
Charlie, can you come up front?
I didn't get that straight. I get too many questions. All those are going to be panel homes? And is there any stimulus money in that, or is it all?
That's what it is.
That's what it comes from, then that stimulus money from the government? Okay.
Charlie, hang on just a second, Charlie. Please, Ms. Fiskett.
Yeah, I see that you're bidding out the infrastructure on Fairfield.
What?
On Fairfield. You're building out the infrastructure on it. When are we looking at them? Type of house?
The bids should be, let's see, they should be in process, they're in process now. We put the bids out, but they're out, Marvin, they're out, aren't they? Yeah, the bids are out for the roads and stuff. We're doing a lot of the, like water lines and things like that, that's gonna be in-house. Of course it can.
Okay, it's out of course account.
Where there's a problem right now.
Thank you.
We had another question, Charlie. Hang on just a minute, Charlie, from County Attorney.
I got another question. Is that Redbird addition really going to be put into a township?
No.
Okay. Man.
Unless you want us to.
No.
No, it's a regular housing.
I'm getting too many gripes on it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
Any more questions for Howard? Okay, thank you. Anna, on Commerce Housing, Anna sent a report out, and it's a nice report. Anna will come up and see if we've got any questions for you. Or if anything you may have missed on your report that you might want to tell us.
No, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Good report. Moving on to old business, I see none pending or none. New business, a resolution, and I'm going to ask Mr. Marvin Jones to come up because I didn't see the new copy of the resolution. Marvin, you may have it there with you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I think Shelley handed out a copy of the attachment to the resolution. The attachment is the one that changed. And you'll see on that new revised one, it has a number 6 near the bottom. The original attachment didn't have the number 6 there. And I had just completely left it off in the original one. And so it really doesn't change the original intent.
Okay.
Let me do it.
Let's just, is there any questions on this amendment that Marvin passed out? If I don't see any questions, Marvin, I take it everybody's pretty much in agreement with it, so we'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Could I?
Sure.
Earlier, Councilor Hoskin mentioned about the land in Nowata. As I understand it, Natural Resources is handling that, Pat Gwynn. So and he informed me about it. So if you have any more inquiry, you might talk to them, talk to Pat.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Okay.
You got a question from Councilor Thornton?
Yeah, and these Indian housing programs, are we still funding the Marshal Service? Are we going to have to pay that money back? Where are we at on that?
The Marshal Service is still included in the Indian housing plans. They're still expending money, still trying to deal with HUD and get them satisfied. The Marshal Service is spending out of the 2009 Indian housing plan currently.
Where are we at trying to satisfy those people? Are we able to, or?
Callie Kitcher is the one that's handling that directly. HUD sent a revised request for additional information probably about a month ago. That's the last I know, and I'm not sure what has happened since then. I don't believe it's been completely resolved yet at this point. If it has, I don't know about it.
Is there any way we can receive the letter that comes from HUD?
I think we've provided information in the past. whether or not it included that latest information. You know, we think it did.
This last transaction included?
I'm thinking it did, because the last letter came maybe a month or so ago, and that's about the time when the inquiries were being made about could we get copies of all the information. If it hasn't, we can take a look at it and make sure you get the copy of the latest.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Martin, is there anything else you want to discuss while you're there?
No, I would mention that this revision only covers the stimulus fund, and this stimulus funding is the money going through the Housing Services Group, includes modernization and rehabilitation. Modernization, following up on your discussion a few minutes ago, did include some of the roads improvement. There was both regular NAHOSTA funds and some stimulus funding, so the discussion a while ago includes some of this stimulus money that may be being used for the Oaks project too. So.
Ms. Jordan had a question.
Marvin, how is the appeal going on the use of these funds for the Marshal Service?
I'll just try to characterize what I know of it. My characterization of it is HUD's wanting a technical assurance from us as to what constitutes what they call a baseline service. What is Cherokee Nation provided if they didn't have any NAHOSTA funds by way of police protection? And it's been difficult trying to figure out exactly what they want, because they'll say we need something, but it's up to you to figure it out. And I think we've been saying, okay, here's what we want to use as this baseline, and then HUD says, no, that's not good enough. So I think that, I keep saying I think it'll be resolved. For sure it'll be resolved in the sense that law enforcement is an eligible activity. As to what level and whether or not, you know, we expended funds for, you know, service that doesn't meet the end criteria, I don't know that. I don't know.
When do you think the appeal process will be completed?
I started 2 years ago, and it's been a back and forth since then. I'm going to guess that I think it needs to be resolved and should be and could be resolved probably over the next couple of months. It even dates back to the previous assistant secretary, and the chief was involved in that particular discussion, and they had a temporary solution back then. Since then, that assistant secretary has gone away, so some of the issues have been reopened. So I'm thinking and hoping that 2 to 3 months would be my guess.
If we should not prevail in that appeal process, do you have a strategy of how that money will be paid back?
It would, we've had a couple of cases when money had in a similar case when HUD has determined that it wasn't an eligible use, and we've been able to, in one case we had this was actually the Delaware side of the money, they just reduced the following grant. The other way is we've actually used some tribal funds to take care of it. So both of those options are available. As to what we would do in this particular case, I don't know of anything specific which may have been discussed within the administration on it.
And lastly, do we have a ballpark figure of the funds that might be at risk, the amount?
Well, in essence, I'm going to say that It consists of the $1,195,000 plus IDC that's been in each Indian housing plan for the last 5 years. So I would say that until we get the issue resolved, all of it's there, but realistically, a vast majority of that, I think, is essentially safe. And we're talking, I'm going to, just to try to give you a ballpark number, let's say 5.5 million. I'm going to say that at the most it's a couple of million that we would be discussing with HUD. I think all the rest of it for sure will be eligible law enforcement purposes, but somewhere in that neighborhood would probably be what we would be discussing.
Thank you.
Those are guesses now.
Okay, any more questions today?
I make a motion we approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, I guess it's time for announcements. We do have, Marvin, I've got an announcement. Do we need to go back and get a subgroup on housing on anything? I know we talked about that about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
We're going to be revising some Indian housing plans over the spring and summer, and so, you know.
Let me know, Marvin, when you get some strategies together, and I'll hold the group and see if we want to have a work group together.
Okay, and if this law enforcement marshal service issue comes up and we have a need to discuss it as a group, I'll for sure let you know on that.
Okay, we'll just keep me informed and I'll let everybody know.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a motion to adjourn?
Move adjourn.
Second. Motion been made. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Thank you.
2 o'clock. Hell.